Right. Thanks for the intro. Then I'm going to jump in. Alexandra, thanks for the nice intro. Laura did a great job. It's always good to hear other perspectives on link building and especially the content that she brought up. Mike Bryant did a great job of introducing the thought that if you want to rank on YouTube, it had to do with interests and possibly the inclusion of all of these different mentions of brands and characters and things in the titles that were making these things rank well, at least for people who were specifically looking for that. And who knew that the princess from Frozen and Spider-Man were an item. So Mike, thanks. Thanks for that. But I can imagine that if you have sons and daughters and they want to watch something on your iPad, having something with a little something for both of them, awesome stuff. So I'm kind of guessing at what drives that interest, but thanks for all of that. So I wanted to choose a topic with some drama. Typically at the end of the year, we're starting to think about 2017. People are starting to put out their posts about what to do next year, thinking about what they've done in the past year that may have worked and may have not worked so well. And I was invited to talk about conversion rate optimization. And so I thought, what could I do that would be the most dramatic thing that would express the things that I found to be the most important in 2016, things that I will carry forward into 2017. Got a nice intro from Alexandra, so I don't need to dwell on my bio, some of the things that I've done, places that I've spoken. But the topic is how to conversion rate optimize like there's no tomorrow. And that's the reason why I'm choosing the 4 riders of the apocalypse. It's a biblical theme. It signals the end times. It's the end of the world. How to convert like it's the end of the world. Because for digital marketers, conversion is the end. It is the end product. You have to attract the right traffic, have the right offers, get people to move down the funnel so that you can convert them. If you're not going to convert them, it is the end of the world. Doesn't matter what's come before, you really have to do this. So who are the 4 riders of the apocalypse? I'll use this to break down the approaches that I would discuss. War, famine, plague, and death. What a cheerful topic, right? But if you stick with me, you're going to find out why I chose these angles. So starting with, with these topics, I want to tell you how to succeed. You're either going to be a rider of the apocalypse yourself and dominate, or you're going to fend off the end of the world. You can win the war. You can feed the famine that you may have with regard to incoming traffic and attracting the right traffic that will convert. You can pound the plague, all right? The plague, what is troubling you? What's making your results sickly? What are you going to do about it? And you can cheat death. So death is, you're not going to get the conversions. You're not even getting traffic to begin with. And what could be worse? So you're going to cheat death. I'm going to start with win the war. And so typically, coming from where I do SEO, having worked at SEMrush, thinking about those tools and the kind of insights that they give you, if you want to convert, you want the traffic around high commercial intent terms. So you've probably heard people discuss intent before, informational intent at the top of the funnel, navigational intent in the middle of the funnel when people are starting to think about brand names and making comparisons and qualifications, and finally, transactional intent expressed in keywords. How do you find these things? Well, commercial intent for SEM purposes and AdWords, okay, would be measured by Google's AdWords keyword tool in terms of CPC, cost per click. The idea being, if the auction, that is SEM, that is AdWords, if the auction is bidding up these keywords, they have high commercial intent. They're delivering an actionable audience that is converting. And so, of course, it's going to cost you more to go after those keywords. Semantically, though, you can discover these keywords, and I'm using that phrase loosely. You can discover these keywords through SEMrush, where you're going to look deep into a phrase report. By the time you get deep into it, you're going to start seeing longer and longer tail terms. Now, longer tail terms cost more in search engine marketing and AdWords, but for SEO, this is where the gold lies. If you go and you find the long tail terms and they start to look like full sentences and they include the 5 W's, who, what, when, where, and why, you're going to start to get at things that are middle of funnel and possibly bottom of funnel. And there's tools to help you find these keywords. You've got to work with them or you're not going to attract the traffic that's going to convert. But we're talking about war here, all right? And war is you against your competitors, your foes. And let's face the facts. It is about business. It is about conversion. It's about revenue. It's about who's going to win. So it's not just the clicks, but the actual whipping out of the credit card. So what are you going to do? You're going to find your competitors' productive keywords, not just their keywords right off the top, but the ones that are really driving them traffic, and then use this idea of intent to find the ones that are converting for them. And one of the most effective ways you can do this is to actually invoke your competitor's brand. So did I really say mofo? I'm not sure I really wanted to do that. Brand jack like a mofo. So you're going to use your competitor's brand. You're going to attract traffic that might already be qualifying different brands for their purposes, sort of middle of the funnel. And one of the most effective ways to do this, it turns out, is in search engine marketing, in AdWords. So if you were to use your competitor's brand name, you can run your ads, and it's going to cost you a little more because you'll never be as relevant for the brand name as the brand owner. But it can be a killer technique. And here's Ford, a huge US auto brand, being pounded by Chevy. So Chevy takes the #1 ad position for the search term Ford Fusion. This was pointed out by Lori Wyman. She's a great writer and always has some really interesting stuff about search engine marketing and especially AdWords. But here we see at the top of the search for Ford Fusion is an ad from Chevy. And it says in the title, compare Chevy Malibu, which is their competitive model to the Ford Fusion. It says, get responsive, solid handling with this car. And they win the top spot. Now, this probably cost them a bit of money, but you could see this happening for multiple models of cars and trucks, where Chevy could own the top spot for searches for Ford. It could be swiping some serious conversion traffic, because it turns out that when people are shopping for cars, a recent stat I saw said they only visit like 3 web pages. Now, that's very interesting because this is a high ticket purchase and a very considered purchase. And yet they're only going to maybe make like 3 searches or so. You definitely want to be there at the top. So Lori points out, and this is a good point, when you use your competitor's brand in your ads, in AdWords, use it in the URL, which you can see in this ad here at the top. They do. It says Chevrolet.com/Ford Fusion. So they use the keyword in the display URL, but they don't use it in the title, which is the blue line, right? And they don't use it in the description, which would make it a trademark infringement possibly. So they skirt that, they get it in the URL, stuff works. Moving on. Brand jacking, you're going to invoke third parties and legitimate comparisons. You're not going to want to invoke your brand, your competitor's brand, in a taunting way. What you want to do is you want to help the user who wants to compare. After you discover you've got an issue and you're thinking about a possible solution, the next step is to think about who provides the solution, who are you going to purchase from. And this is from the consumer's point of view. So as the advertiser's point of view, you want to give them the information they need to make the right decision. And of course, the right decision is you. One of the best things that you can do, especially in a B2B, business to business space, is to compare your brand's services or products with the competition But do you want to compare it, or would it be more credible if a third person, another party, did this? And turns out, yes. Here we see for a search for Pardot or Pardo, however you choose to say it, marketing automation software brand, Marketo takes the top spot for Pardot, paying for this ad, where they are promoting a vendor comparison. The vendor comparison title includes their brand name, big brand awareness there, and the URL you see contains the competitor's brand. It's in the URL. So they're going to achieve a high level of relevance for this. But of course, they don't include the competitor's brand in either the title or the description. So there you go. There's a paid way of doing this. And they get in here, but what they're promoting is a piece of content. Now, you know, this is even more costly than a car in the end. Marketing automation software can run into, you know, multiple tens of thousands of dollars, and you may purchase it and run it for years because it takes time to get up, and you make an investment in people to support the platform. But what they're pushing is Gartner's vendor analysis of 14 different vendors. Well, if Marketo is pushing this, and they are the largest in the field, you can bet they're the #1 platform being promoted here. But chances are they engage the services of Gartner, right, to do this study to begin with. And of course, the questions that are chosen sometimes in these kinds of studies are meant to make particular brands perhaps look a little better than another. It's from a third party. It's paid. It's a paid piece of content. But they came out on top, and now they're promoting that content. There's other ways of slicing this biscuit, but people are going to believe it more if it comes from a third party. So that's paid. Let's talk about organic methods to brand jacking. There's a piece that Chad Pollitt did, worked for Relevance, and what he did was he charted out searches for brands, and he kind of came at it with these two kind of conflicting results. The results were that when you use branded keyword phrases, they are 3.5 times more likely to convert to leads. So whether you choose your own brand or the brand of another, if you use those brands well on the page, and people are searching for that and they find your result for those keywords, those brand words, they're more likely to convert. Well, okay, makes sense. They're kind of middle of the funnel and they're being comparative. But he went through all of the non-branded keywords and he took the ones that didn't convert at all out of the set. So what he ended up with was a nucleus of keywords, much, much smaller than the site was attracting traffic for to begin with. And by limiting the set that he was looking at to the most effective and the ones that were converting, these keywords on a whole were 10 times more likely to convert. So, you know, non-branded keywords can kill, have to be the right ones. They have to be closely tied to the interests of people who are in the shopping mode, in the selection mode, answering their questions. So here's some results of a similar vein around brand jacking, around using brand names, and specifically, this is from a Neil Patel article. I know a friend of mine from SEM Rush days, Eric Van Buskirk, may have contributed some effort to this post. It's a database post titled "How to Rank for Your Competitors' Keywords: What We Learned by Analyzing 62.6 million e-commerce keywords." Well, that's huge volume of data. So what did they find out? So initially, right off the top, we see keywords that included the brand and the word review, and keywords in the right column that included non-review keywords, but still included the brand. And what do we see when the word review is included as a modifier to the brand? You see the keyword difficulty go down a bit, and you see the median cost per click more than double. So what I'm going to say is that in these charts, I'm going to show you one after this, in these charts that CPC is going to be a proxy or approximate commercial intent. It's going to approximate the value that you could get by using these particular keywords in terms of conversion. The idea that people, brands, et cetera, will bid for high CPC keywords because they are, in the end, more effectively converted. So if we look here and you see using the word review works with the brand name, then this is a clue. Modifiers can help. If we go a little further, we brand jack with care because it's not just about the brand, it's about other things that you will do. Top chart, non-branded keywords versus branded keywords. So we see similar keyword difficulty, but for cost per click, the keywords with brand have a higher cost per click and therefore are more likely to convert using the proxy we were talking about. And competitive density, which I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about, but think about Google's results. It's a little gray type at the top of any search, and it says there are this many pages that are deemed relevant for this term. A lower competitive density can mean that there's opportunity there for you because there's not so much content to rank against. Frankly, I think that when you start getting up into the millions of results, it kind of loses some of its meaning, but it can be an indicator that maybe for something new, it might be easier to get through the pack and to the front of attention. At the bottom table pictured here, we have non-branded keywords versus branded keywords versus yet another modifier. And this modifier is very effectively tied to conversion, the word coupon, right? So when we look at this, we see that the difficulty is very similar among them. Might be a little easier to use non-branded keywords, but is that really where you want to go? Probably not. Because when we get into the cost per click, the sign that there are transactions behind the use of these keywords that you can attract prospects, the highest cost keywords are going to be the brands with the word coupon. Okay, so for SEM, that's an expensive proposition, but likely to pay off in ROI. For SEO, this is a major win because if I can generate traffic around the word coupon with brand, I am going to attract traffic at a much lower cost per visitor than I would be spending for, for SEM. So competitive density, again, thinking not the most important factor in my mind. However, coupon keywords and branded keywords have a lower competitive density than non-branded keywords in this case. So might be interesting to check out this post and its results. In the end, my own experience mixed with that says you're going to brand jack and you're going to use helpful utility modifiers, especially for purposes of SEO, but also for your PPC. You can invoke your competitor's brand, especially easily when you say it's brand A versus brand B. It's Marketo versus Pardot. It's Nike versus Adidas. You can use the word comparison. People love to compare. So some version of the word compare works very well. People who are perched on the edge of a buying action love to have social trust. They like to see that others have had a good purchase experience with this brand. And so they're looking for ratings, reviews, and testimonials. These are awesome for attracting traffic when you use these in conjunction with brand names, these words. And also OfferPop did a study that showed how massively effective it is to use user-generated content in this form in your material, in your ads, on your landing pages. It's just great stuff to use. And then anything that indicates that the intent of the searcher is going to be to buy. They're looking for things cheap. They're looking for coupons, discounts, codes, those kinds of words. You want to see those in your content and used in your titles and descriptions and et cetera to get that kind of traffic. Yay. So we've been through win the war, and now we're going to move on. This is kind of a dramatic thing. Had a CRO like there's no tomorrow. feed the famine. Next rider of the apocalypse is famine, and what are you going to do? You're going to feed it. And the idea here is that you could have a famine on your site. You could have a famine of converting traffic. You're not getting the transactions on the site like you think you should. It's post-holiday. Maybe there's a little lull. But really, your highly engaged customers are going to bring you 3 times the value of others. And that includes other back, because they already trusted you. How much more action? Each customer is going to buy 90% more frequently, and they're going to spend 60.
Mike, I'm sorry, we are just, kind of having a gaps in sound. I don't know, it's like kind of a chirpy. Can you say something?
Yeah, testing.
Yeah, right now it's good. I'm sorry for interrupting you. Really sorry about that.
That's okay. You just let me know if there's any other problems. That's fine. So that's average order value when we talk about how much people are spending in each transaction. And of course, so what I'm saying here is you can feed your famine by fishing within your own barrel. You can get more wins by going after your own list. And so we see this kind of quotation, and here it's given from Rosetta, part of Publicis, but prospects are 7 times more responsive to promotions after a brand interacts meaningfully, right? So this isn't a matter of spamming people and remarketing them endlessly and blindly following them around. This is figuring out what they want and giving it to them, and that, making sure that they understand that your intent is to help. Selling never helps, helping sells. It's a nice little way to kind of remember this. And so you do want to remarket, of course, because remarketing is killer for conversion. I've seen figures stating that, as soon as you start remarketing, it's going to be so effective that you're going to be amazed. But be aware also that remarketing may suck some of the conversions out of your other attributed channels and such. So you may attract the traffic, they may visit the site, a particular page or something, you do a good job, you may close them, but you may also exhaust the demand, right? So you may have to do a better job at the top of the funnel and attract more and acquire more traffic, so you have more to remarket to. And that's a particular kind of famine as well, attracting traffic, acquiring traffic in the first place, looking at your sources and media, figuring out how to get that traffic in, because you may remarket so effectively that you close everybody who's on the fence and thinking about it, and now who's going to come to your site next? So also keeping in mind that you want to remarket specifically, not blindly. This needs to happen in a real effective way with a specific relevant offer to what people are doing. Resubscription, supplies for what they've already purchased, accessories to go, bought a Burberry coat, how about a scarf to go with that? And do this, you can now do this in Google, display and search ads with a 540-day term on the list. So add that person to the list. You can be in there for 540 days. You can come back in a year, hello, SaaS software with subscriptions, and you can say, hey, your year is almost up. Now you need to think about resubscribing. So retention, all about cross-sell, upsell, and discount. Referrals, people love to be invited to a beta test or a special event, as Laura was talking about in the PR world. Don't give them free software necessarily, but give them trials or something to dispense to other people who trust them, right? It's great ideas. Loyalty, you want to win their loyalty, keep their acquaintance, engage with them over their anniversary. Hi, you've had us for 3 years. Come shop with us again. Hi, it's your birthday. Thanks for sharing your birth date with us. Here's a little gift, or come into the store to redeem. Survey Laura pointed out people love quizzes, surveys, all of that activation device stuff gets people closer to conversion. If you can get somebody to click on one thing, no matter how silly or inane, they are more likely to click for the final. And then here's the killer, and you've probably heard this a bunch of different ways. It costs 6 or 7 times more for companies to attract new customers than to keep existing. So if you want to feed the salmon, do your best job with your existing customers. Start from day one. Keep winning them over and over. It's your gold list. How to convert like there's no tomorrow. On the plague. All right, so moving on to the plague. What's a plague? A plague is a disease. A plague is a widespread viral disease. And here, we're going to talk about measles. Boy, that was a nasty picture. Sorry about that. Well, what are measles when it comes to conversion rate optimization? Measles are when somebody has run away on their pages on their site with ideas of ways to get a conversion. So a designer comes in, says, I've designed your website and we have a click to call number at the top, which will work great in mobile. And we have this big button in the middle of the slider to get people to convert. It's awesome. Oh, and by the way, other conversions, we added a red area for contact because we want people to give you their contacts. And we've got 2 very strong pieces of content that we would love for people to react on. And we have some other methods of conversion, including laying the groundwork for fundamental change. Of what's that going to take? Get in touch with us. And then we want people to download some more case studies and testimonials. Let's do some more of that. Let's get started on customized solutions. So get in touch with us now. And hey, but we'd love to watch this video. And by the way, here's our form. You could get a book. And how about subscribing to our blog and some other stuff. So in the end, 14 conversion goal actions, conversions, micro conversions, count them up, 14 on a page. Clean it up. When your page has measles or too many choices and options, your viewers, your prospects are going to end up with what is often called analysis paralysis. They're going to look at it, and what you're doing by giving too many choices is you're giving the viewer permission to put off the decision. You have to force a decision, but you have too many distractions. You're leading people away from the page where they should really convert. It lacks urgency, right? It like I have a webinar. Well, hey, you have to attend the webinar, or you can watch the recording. Well, that kind of softens it, right? Put a date on it, put a deadline on it, put a timer on it that says time runs out. Scarcity. People love scarcity in the sense that this may not be available next year. Your price may go up next year. This is not available to everybody. You have to be a company with 50 employees or more. So imply scarcity, and it's going to make people more likely to act on it. That's one of the primary ways of motivating people. So how do you fix this? Inoculate your landing pages against the measles by reducing options, simplify, cut out distractions, add urgency, hawk your scarcity. I had a client I didn't really spend a whole lot of time on, but I gave them a quick review of their pages and we started a test. We ran some heat mapping, et cetera. We said here, we need to simplify all of this. And they grudgingly agreed to run a test, and we changed one of their landing pages. And immediately, within the first week, turned around and got 1,100% increase in conversions. Now, wasn't that hard to do, and we were prepared to run this for at least a month and possibly 2 to get a statistically significant volume of traffic. The client called us up at the end of the first week and said, whatever you did, do it more. Do this to the rest of the pages based on insignificant volumes of traffic moving across the page because they really boosted their conversions. So that works. Finally, cheat death. I know I'm running out of time here, so I'm going to just blast through this as rapidly as possible. Talking about death, you got to cheat death. You are either in the conversion world quick or you are dead. And Ollie Gardner came and spoke at SEER in Philly. And I kind of surprised him when I said, okay, where is page speed in your newly planned tool? I know you're adding all kinds of stuff to the tool. And he said, well, that's coming. You need to pay attention to your speed. User experience requires your page to be faster. conversions and average order value all go up when your page is faster. So what's the status? 77% of web pages take up to 10 seconds to load. So it's double click. I mean, that's absurd. Google, when Maila Oya, and I'm probably mangling her name, when she spoke, she said 2 to 3 second page load times have the lowest bounce rate. Google knows that, user experience is improved on faster pages, and they're pushing it hard. So you have to listen. What is especially urgent about this is that we know that there's a mobile first index coming from Google. We know that Google knows as well, mobile traffic has surpassed desktop. Mobile search has surpassed desktop. And mobile, though, because you squirt stuff, across the cell networks, 3G, even 4G, it can double or even triple in some cases the amount of time it takes your page to transfer and load and view. So you really have to pay attention. And what's the result? If you're not paying attention, a 1 second delay drives people off your page. And what's the cost? If you're making $100,000 a day from an e-com site, you could lose $2.5 million a year based on a 1 second delay. I can't overstress this. So you've got to cheat death. You've got to have page speed. Give up the page speed, she-elf. Right? If you want it, come and claim it. You've got to go after this yourself. Here's a number of tools to test. The topmost one is a very easy, very visually attractive page that's put up by Google. testmysite.thinkwithgoogle.com. The results are so visually interesting and simple that you can share this directly with a client and you can start talking about it and dive deeper, get an email or go into their developer pages to find out what specifically you could be fixing on yours or your client's site to make it faster. Firebug has plugins for page speed. Web Developer is an old browser plugin, works great if you happen to be on Firefox maybe instead of Chrome. You have to be aware that these tools should look at the mobile version of the page. The topmost Google one does. There's ways of getting the Firebug plugin to work. With your mobile device, you can actually wire your iPhone to your laptop and get the results from your mobile phone. If you use webpagetest.org, it has a way of setting up what crawler you use, what device, and what network. So you can get some pretty good results, very, very telling. I've had an e-com client who had some pretty dismal results, even after they tried to use Cloudflare caching and things that were just killing their conversions, killing the traffic on their site, and in the end, probably killing the way Google regarded them because part of this issue included nested redirect. Lots of issues, solve them all. CRO like there's no tomorrow. So thanks for the time. I appreciate being here. I hope you got something out of it.